This podcast is sponsored by Oracle. The world is changing at a rapid pace, forcing organizations to evaluate and redesign the employee experience. Introducing Oracle Me, part of the Oracle Cloud HCM. Oracle Me is the only complete employee experience platform that empowers talent to connect, grow, and thrive. Built natively as part of the end-to-end HCM system and working across multiple business channels, Oracle Me gives business leaders the power to create tailored experiences by better understanding each employee, personally and professionally, to meet them where they are and take them where they want to be. To learn more, visit oracle.com/employee-experience.
HR Famous, what's up? It's Jessica Lee here, and it's another episode. We're back together, and I'm here with my friends Tim Sackett, Madeline. You know what, Madeline? I want to pronounce your last name Laurano, but am I right?
You're right. Exactly.
Right? Oh my God. I get really nervous before I say people's names sometimes. And actually, so that you know, I think there was a time where I was like, I'm here with Chris. I think done. So, some days I'm there, some days I'm not. But anyways, I don't know why we're talking about him. It's the three of us, and we're back for another episode. I don't know. We're in the triple digits, one something. Are we?
Yeah.
We're in the triple digits. Yeah. I mean, that is an accomplishment. So, all right, we're going to get right into it. And rather than a warm-up question, I think this is all combined as a first topic as well as a warm-up question. We are still in a pandemic-ish, maybe not, but I think it's like here to stay that we are just binging like crazy, like everything and anything. And so I have a real question for us, but first, can we please talk about what are we watching right now? What are we binging? I'll tell you guys what I binged this weekend. It's not like, racy, exciting television, but it was really heartfelt, was Pachinko on Apple TV, but it's like a historical thing for me. But I also have some, salacious things I'm binging. But what are you guys binging? Madeline, I need to know, what are you binging on?
So this is a good question. I went back to Ozark because I just could not get into it. Like, I started this like a year ago and I watched the first 2 episodes and I was like, I don't get it. I'm totally bored already in episode 2. The first episode's amazing. And then episode 2, I'm bored. So I went back and I'm giving it another go. And that's one.
I don't want to know anything, Tim. I know you just I don't want to know anything. I haven't watched a single season. I don't know anything, but I do love that the Inventing Anna woman is in it. I didn't know that. So that is her plus Justin Bateman. I think
it's so basic.
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, Ruth in Ozark and Anna are the same actress. She's amazing that she can pull off both those roles because then you see her speak like in real life and you're just like, okay, you're an actress. Yeah. You're the real deal. You get it.
She's talented. All right. So that's like classy though, Madeline. You're going to make people think that you're all class, but I know you're watching something trashy.
I know. I sent you both a text last night because I started Ultimatum. And
the worst of the trash.
I said I would just watch one episode and then no.
What's Ultimatum? So I don't know that one.
Wait, Jessica, are you watching this? You're watching this, right?
I finished it. I watched the whole thing. So, Tim, the concept here is it's Nick Lachey and his wife, Vanessa.
Okay, yeah. My wife watches it.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, they are young couples who are like, I'm giving you an ultimatum. We have to get married or else. And sometimes it's the woman, sometimes it's the man. And the whole premise is they give them an ultimatum. You come on the show and then you agree to basically split up and you have to go partner with someone else and you go experience what it's like to be with another person, and you come back to the person that you joined with the beginning, and then you have to go back to life and then decide at the end, are you going to get married or not? It's insane.
But you're living with them for 3 weeks. Like, you partner with somebody else and then you're like basically a married couple for 3 weeks, and then you have to go back to your person or not. And the best thing is, like, I don't like any of them. Like, I'm like, these are horrible humans. I don't like any of them, but I can't stop watching.
They're horrible. They're all
What's
horrible.
the one where they get married the first day they meet each other, and then they have to spend like 90 days with each other and make a decision after that?
Oh yeah, is that 90 Day Fiance or something?
Something like
I don't know
yeah.
if it's 90 Day Fiance or Love
No,
is Blind.
Love
Something
is
along those lines.
Blind.
It might
The
be
Love
Love
is
is
Blind one.
Blind.
I watched Love is Blind the first season with my wife, and we literally laughed so hard because these people are sitting there and like like you think like they're having these real conversations because they can't see each other and they're talking about all this stuff and what they like, and then when they finally see each other for real, then they're just like, oh yeah, you're ugly and I would never.
It's awful.
But they're in love. They're in love when they're talking behind the
love.
screen. They're already in love. Yeah.
Well, and so maybe here's a reality TV tidbit that I just learned that is from the Ultimatum. I don't know if you notice this, Madeline, but you will, like in every episode going forward. When they're drinking from cups, beverages, I don't know if you notice, the cups are all like opaque. It's like a silver cup. You can't see. It's not glass. It's not clear. And so I texted my girlfriend. I was like, is this just like a new home trend that I'm not aware about, that we're all using like cups that look like
They just
this?
don't want you to know what they're drinking.
Well, no, it's not that they don't want you to know what they're drinking, but it's how much is left so that they can edit more seamlessly and they don't have to worry about like, oh, the cup was full, the cup was empty. And so that is some reality TV, like, behind the scenes trickery that I didn't realize until the Ultimatum. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah, the Bachelor needs to do that. I think that they just drink wine all day long and
I know. And they're just
I don't think people understand how much like production goes into making reality TV and how much is scripted, right? They think it's reality TV because they put these two people together, but they just don't let these two people just go and talk. Right. Like there's so much scripting that takes place. Like when I did, that 48-hour lockdown pilot show or whatever, every single thing I said was scripted. But like when you see the thing, like you're like, it looks like I'm having an argument with this freaking trashed out, like strung out, like Russian whore, right? Like it's so amazing that they make it look real when it's completely scripted and it had like 7 takes,
Right.
That's a lie, though. That was real. That wasn't scripted. So, okay, Madeline's watching something trashy, which this is perfect because you hate all these people. Tim, what are you binging on?
Well, no, I just got done with Ozark. I was trying to think of the thing we did before that, but I did go see the Nick Cage movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which is super funny. And it's the whole concept of Nick Cage is this washed-up actor. He's playing himself as a washed-up actor that can't get movies anymore. And then this Pedro Pascal, they played off each other so well. It makes you feel like they're best friends in real life kind of thing. And they might be, right? I know they're close, but he's a billionaire and pays Nick Cage $1 million to come to his birthday. So it's like one of those like washed up kind of star things that you would think like, oh yeah, this would really happen. And then it come to find out like, it's all about like drugs and arms deals and turns into a real like Nick Cage movie. Which is funny. That's Nick Cage,
Nick Cage. I don't know when he went from Nicolas Cage to Nick Cage. I'll have to check that out.
He might still be Nicolas Cage, but I feel like, because I watched his movie, they call him Nick Cage. Now I call him Nick Cage.
You're on a first name basis, Nick Cage. So the reason why I want to know what we're binging, especially with reality TV, is, whether it's the Ultimatum or other shows, I guess the thing that I'm just really hung up on is like, who are these people? Some of them have real jobs. And like with Love is Blind, there was a young woman as an example where like they talk about her being a quote unquote management consultant. So I go onto LinkedIn to see who she is, and she is a human capital consultant for a big firm. And I don't know if she's still there. It didn't say like end date. And I'm just trying to wrap my head around like, who are these people that go on these shows? Would we ever hire them? Would you allow for them to go on a sabbatical? And like, there is some hierarchy here of what shows are okay and what are not. Like, if someone went on the Family Feud, I'm probably okay with that. Like,
what about MTV, like The Challenge?
Is that still on?
Oh gosh, yeah, it's like on season whatever 18. But like some of those people are like serial, like they've been on like 3 or 4 different reality shows, right?
Ugh.
Survivor, Road Rules,
they just become an actor at that point, right?
Yeah, they just become a reality TV star. But like for something like Love is Blind, The Ultimatum, like are we gonna hire these people afterwards? And so like here's my practical question: like, are we judging them for it? Is this like back in the early days of social media when it was like we maybe shouldn't look them up, and we are or we're not going to use what we find online. If someone has been on a reality show, does this disqualify them? What are we going to do with this information? Madeline, the ultimatum. Let's start there.
The
You think they're
ultimatum.
all horrible
Yeah.
people.
I think they're all horrible people, but there's two types of reality shows, right? Like one is like you're building a Lego with like your mom and you're the team building Lego. And it's like, absolutely, you want someone that's going to challenge themselves with the Lego. And then you have I'm going to break down and sob. I'm drunk every time they're shooting and I'm airing all my dirty laundry on the air. And I don't know. I mean, I think it takes a certain person that would go on those shows and do that. Maybe it depends on the type of role, but I don't know.
It's a hard pull though, right? Because if somebody like again, like I had gotten asked to go on Jon Stewart, and like I felt like I had to go, like, oh, I have to go on Jon Stewart's show, even though like it would have been a complete a nightmare. Like it would not have been good for my career. And so I ultimately I turned it down. But you have such a pull. It's probably just American culture, right? That you have a pull to say, oh, if somebody wants me on TV, I have to go on TV. I know Lori Rudiman, and there was another guy that we know in our space just went on Fox Business, right? They got asked to come on and give their opinion on the future work, whatever. And and again, like I think a lot of like depending on the news outlet or whatever, we'd all like go, wait, maybe I shouldn't. But there's such a pull and magnet for us to go on TV. Like somehow it's going to turn into something great,
I think the only way it does though is if you're not going to go and join a company after you go. Now all of a sudden you have like 500,000 followers on Instagram. You're not going to go join, Deloitte. You're going to go start your
own thing, right?
iPhone case company where you're selling and you've got all your followers. Like that's the only path moving forward. I think.
That's another like another segment of this is like the social media star. Like what happens when one time I had 500,000 followers on Instagram, and then like the newest hottest thing came up and I was nothing, right? And I stopped making money on it. Now I have to get a real job. Because there's always this, for me, Jay, going back to like your original question, if I would hire them, aren't you always going to go like, you're just waiting to be asked to be on another show, or you're just waiting for the next hot social media thing before you leave me? Like there's always going to be that in your back of your mind, like, unless it has to pertain to the actual job that you're hiring him for. I wonder how much does that play in terms of, I don't think I could retain this person.
Well, maybe. I think it could. It's interesting, and part of the reason why I wanted to bring it up and like the spectrum of shows that people go on. So, at my company, we actually have an alum of Survivor who works for us. And
what season?
I think it was pretty early. I think it might have been the Richard Hatch season. Is that the first season?
No, it wasn't the first, but when it was at the height of it for sure.
Yeah, it was early on. He wasn't a winner of Survivor, but he like got to pretty final rounds. And it's funny if you do like some Googling of Survivor and this person's name, like there are wiki pages and analysis of him, and there's all these screenshots, and you like kind of see this villainized character that they turn him into for Survivor. But then like he put that in the past, but this was like pre like social media, like height of things. And so I do wonder like today, if I had a job and someone was like, hey, we have this like, reality TV alum. And actually that did happen recently where someone was like, you should consider this person. She had an okay resume, but they were like, she was on Survivor. And I was like, well, we already have a Survivor alum. Like, can we have two? I don't know. But separate from like her reality TV chat was like, her resume wasn't that good. But it was interesting. Like the recruiter was like, this says something about her. Like she's like, she can be a thought leader. But I was like, I don't think so. I was like, no. But like a Survivor alum or what's that other The Amazing Race, like things like that, right? We could hire someone who's been on.
I almost applied for Amazing Race with my wife's college roommate because like her and I, because you always have to have a dynamic, right? And they're best friends, still best friends today. She like Kim makes a joke that her college roommate could still kick my ass today, right? Because she was this super strong like woman, and her and I butted heads constantly. So we thought like you have to have a dynamic. Like, hey, it's this guy's coming on with his wife's college, best friend college roommate, and they're going to do this race together. And knowing that you have this kind of this dynamic where because we both just think we're right. all the, of everything we do and all the time. And then she was always in the middle, being the roommate, kind of thing. And again, we get along. I mean, I love her. I mean, she's great, and I love her kids. But like, it was one of those things that we have, because you have to have a hook to get into reality TV.
It's more entertaining, right? If you're not, you're fighting a little bit.
Oh, see, you're smart because, like, with The Amazing Race, I actually always thought I wanted to go on it, but my only criteria is I need to go with someone who, one, knows how to swim, and two, can drive a stick shift, because inevitably there's going to be some challenge where I can do neither. And, like, especially the stick shift, I think that is important. Like, when you're traveling the world, you need someone who can stick, which is me. So I guess I didn't think about like that. Interesting. Well, reality TV folk, I mean, at some point, I don't know if the reality shows are going to die down, but I do worry about your job prospects. Like, I suppose you all can go this path of start your iPhone case company, but like, they're a dime a dozen. So let's see what happens. I don't know.
Another similar one to this is like the big time, like Division I college athlete, the football player or whatever. Like, this happened. I mean, since we're so close to Michigan State, it happens all the time where you have a guy that, like for 4 years was like the star on campus, like the quarterback or the big running back or whatever, but they weren't good enough to go pro. And now they have to go into real life. But yet, if they stay local, like everybody kind of like they get stopped in the grocery store, and like it's so weird for them, like to have one part of their life being like, oh, this is who they are, and then another part of their life. Like, I play golf with a guy that is now like 20 years past this, and he still has people coming up to him like on the golf course, and like they're so enamored by like, oh, he was this linebacker at Michigan State or whatever, and you're just kind of like, and I just know him as like a guy I work with at the bank. Like, it's just, it's like I never knew him as that. So it's kind of like, it's so weird though to have that kind of celebrity in your past and have to carry that around with you.
I don't know about you, but I don't know very many people that are hopeful about the world of work. And I'd like to change that. My name's Marcus Mossberger, and I started the Hope at Work podcast, where you'll find two things. Number one, really interesting guests. And number two, innovative ideas about the future of work. Check it out.
I have no clue.
Reality show.
Like,
good.
Yeah.
I mean, we're HR famous, but like really no.
I know. Exactly. I had one time I got recognized in the Detroit airport, and thankfully Kim was there. So I was like, yes, I am HR famous, baby.
No. All right. So real topic. This is something that I think we're going to hear more and more about. So let me tee it up, and then let's talk about this. So I saw this article in Wall Street Journal, and the whole concept that they're trying to get some shed some light on is concept of crickets and ghosting, but in the workplace. So I'll read you a snippet from the article, because I think there's a few interesting things where, of course, people have been talking about the Great Resignation and hiring challenges, and people are doing all sorts of interesting things in terms of wages and different benefits. But a lot of companies are starting to face an issue where they're making offers, people are accepting jobs, and the new hire just isn't showing up for work. And so, they were citing Southwest Airlines saying 15 to 20% of new hires for some jobs aren't even showing up on their first day. Allied Universal saying, which I think is a security and a facility services provider, 15% of new hires disappear before starting a job. And I think it's funny that they're talking about ghosting as kind of like the thing, since we talk about that in more of a, not we like me, but like the dating context. Yeah. And, they put it out there in a Twitter to ask, like, why are people just not showing up? And so, I mean, this is not scientific with Twitter, but, some people are saying like they just have accepted multiple jobs, or some of what they're being told in the interviews is different from what they're being told before they're being asked to show up on day one. So lots of different reasons, but I think we're going to keep seeing this as a thing. And so, Madeline, I'm curious at your reaction around, what do companies need to be thinking about, like, in order to like put an end to this ghosting, or is this something we're just going to need to deal with right now?
Yeah, it's, to me, it's really interesting because it's not just hourly workers. Like, I think that's always happened. Like, you've always had situations where you're hiring an hourly worker and they might not show up. That's the risk. But we're seeing this in other industries now. And that's, to me, the real difference and why this is becoming so newsworthy. And I think for companies, what's interesting as well is it's not just about pay anymore. It's like they know what they're going to be making. It's not like a secret till they come in on the first day. It's all these other factors, whether it's balancing things at home, whether it's, getting a better offer and they kind of put their feelers out and they accepted something last minute, or it just doesn't feel right and they just don't want to do it. And I think we're going to see this for a little bit longer. And then if we do kind of come into a recession, or if we're in a recession now already, this is going to probably not last in a lot of these other industries.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, it's not just in some of these service industries in the hourly ranks, like, it's probably happening everywhere. And I guess, like, if we're to put our hat on around, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, Tim, I don't know if, like, you guys are experiencing this yourselves or if you're having customers who are going through it, but I have some thoughts on like what is some of the driver here, but I'm curious, like, what is the company, what are managers supposed to do about this?
I mean, that's how the whole concept of like pre-boarding has gotten really hot, because I think companies are trying to figure out, how do we, now that we, like, the person said yes, and then once they say yes, like, really the challenge just starts, because whether it's 10 days, 14 days, tomorrow, 21 days, like, how the longer it takes for somebody to start, like like that percentage of them showing up actually just continues to fall. And so it's like, how do we actually make this happen quickly as possible? But then how do we actually act like they're already employed when they said yes, even though they might still be working out 2 weeks? And so you have companies sending out gift boxes, and you have teams sending out videos, and hiring managers texting, and like nonstop every single day, right? To make them feel like we want you more than, the place that you're at or anybody else. And so you said yes, and we're going to make sure we get you to the finish line. Like, there's so much emphasis on how to do that, how to do it well, because it's again, like Madeline said, it's happening at every freaking level. I still, like, I wish there was like a national database that we could just say, goddamn, Jessica Lee didn't show up when she offered, and we're going to put her in here, and here's the date, and here's the position, and here's and then like we could go as employers and just like log into our account and search, like, oh, we're going to offer Jessica, but I'm going to ask her about this. Why didn't you show up? Right. Like, I think
You're
there's
so
a business model.
punitive. Gosh.
Like Glassdoor, like almost like a Glassdoor for candidates.
By the way, like a couple of months ago, I put something up about like putting a 2 week notice in, and like in something on Twitter, and I got lambasted by the Twitter mob. Like, it just came after me in our space, that I was like, I was 1,000 years old and out of touch and privileged and blah blah blah. And I'm like, to give a 2 week notice?
In Europe, it's 6 weeks.
Because people are just walking out on the job, or just not showing up the next day and saying, yeah, F you. Like, I don't care. And you're like, no, like, professionally that follows you. And if you don't think it does, then you're either just naive or, like, out of touch. I don't know. But like, I got killed.
I'm so out of it. I guess I didn't even realize that like 2 weeks is like a thing. Like that's considered a lot or generous. Because I swear to God, like maybe
they just felt like your company can let you go at any moment without notice. And so, which is actually a lie.
Yeah.
Like, like if they're going to do a mass layoff, like there's laws to protect
notice requirements
workers
and things of that sort.
And I'm like, but like, let's just forget about that Twitter mob. Like, but but there was like, well, but they could just come in and let me individually go because, for any reason. And you're like, yeah. And so that means you think the best thing for your career is that you just don't show up one day and never tell anybody. I'm just like, oh, like, you don't think that's going to follow you behind the scenes? It's gonna.
The Twitter mob is just out for you in general. So that might be part of it, Tim.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like a poster child for like, Twitter mobs.
I think Charlie posted a nice tweet about you this week.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
See, because you're HR famous. That's why. That is why. But so you mentioned
I said something nice about him in front of his boss. So, he likes that.
Oh, that's nice. You're so nice. Meanwhile, never mind. But so you mentioned
Meanwhile, open the database.
Yes, pre-boarding. So like, I like that you went there on pre-boarding, because I actually really think that like that, like to get like tactical on like what do you do about it. I actually think pre-boarding for me is like one of those areas where we never pay enough attention to it, and I have always felt this way. So like when I put my old recruiter hat on, like for me, like it was always this anxiety period of I had someone accept a job, I closed an offer, and like at that point, like is it still my job to manage the relationship, or does it become the hiring manager's job at that point? And I always think there's a little bit of gray there where it's like, well, whose job is it to like really take care of this person? By the way, I think it's the hiring manager.
Turns out it's everybody. Yeah.
But well, you're probably
someone
right.
has to own it.
Yeah. If someone has to own it though, like I personally feel a sense of responsibility as a hiring manager around like I really need this person to show up on day one and beyond. And so what do I need to do to take care of it? Take care of them. But it does make me wonder, either from like a technology perspective or service providers out there, like are people thinking about that pre-boarding space? Like,
Yeah,
is that a thing?
the tech providers are. I think they're trying to do onboarding before day one. But it's interesting that you say that too, Jessica, because we did research on candidate communication and just looking, and I looked back like 5 years at this trend of a single point of contact for candidates, as they're kind of going through the process and at onboarding. And there was a huge dip in onboarding this year. You don't have a single point of contact. And that might be part of it too. You have a recruiter, or a lot of this is automated, and you go through the process, you receive an offer, you don't have any contact with the manager. You've never met the manager. The recruiter's left the organization and gone somewhere else. So who cares?
Yeah, I just demoed a new tech that's out, and it's kind of like the old school like buddy system, but they set it up as, hey, we're going to start this the moment they say yes to your offer, pre-boarding. We're going to introduce their buddy. We're going to have the video sent. We're going to do all in like every single day, and then all the way in through onboarding as well, right? So you actually have kind of this person to work with you. But because I think that is super important. Now, again, their thing was like, we're going to set up a buddy, like it's on your team, so that you actually have this. But for like remote workers and hybrid workers that aren't going to be in the office all the time, like it's even more important to make them feel, because that's what we're starting to see now from the data as well, is like all these remote workers are just kind of like, I don't feel like I'm a part of the show anymore. Right. And so it makes it super easy for me to leave.
Right.
Yeah. You know what, you bring up something interesting also about like sometimes like the person not knowing who their manager is, because I feel like I was in a conversation recently about like who is taking accountability and responsibility for hiring, and like does the manager really need to meet the person before they hire, or can you be served up like a new hire, like you have a centralized service, it's all done through a team, and then you're given the hire because it's more efficient to be able to manage all those let's say in a centralized manner. But I think that whole relationship piece becomes like super interesting. But like I'll just even use like Marriott as an example. Like this whole onboarding thing and who owns it, it's still something even we face. Like I had to pull together a tiger team recently with people from IT, because there's a systems and access question, when did they get their equipment, from my team on who's doing orientation and onboarding, to our TA team around like up until what point are they handling things. And it's super fascinating to me that like we've been in the business for 95 years. Like I would say we got some pretty smart and interesting people who work for us to manage these functions, and yet we're still like, whose job is it to own onboarding? And even us, we haven't really figured it out. And so someone said to me they had come from a company that like they had an onboarding COE, which I hadn't heard of, but I thought it was interesting, like to bring all that together. And I don't know if that's a trend too that people need to be thinking about, pre-boarding, onboarding function.
There you go, Madeline. That's your next research.
I know that's my next job. Maybe that we can hire the reality stars to do that. They would be great at that.
They would be good at that.
One thing I wonder too, and I'm just thinking about this now, is I wonder if there's like a mental health component too. Like we know that there have been a lot of mental health challenges with people through the pandemic, and the thought of starting day one is really stressful for a lot of people. I mean, it's unbelievably stressful. Before COVID, we did this research to find out what's the most important thing to new hires. Like, what do they care about? And the number one thing was, should I bring a lunch on the first day? Like, it was really stressful to know, should I pack my lunch? Is there lunch in the cafeteria? Is my manager going to take me to lunch?
Yeah. Can I leave campus? Can I go? Like, you don't know.
And it's expensive. Lunch is expensive. Like that is a real stress that will keep you up at night. There's technology to answer that now. You can use conversational AI and chatbots and all that. But that's a fear. And I think with the pandemic and not working and being home for 2 years, does the fear of going into an office on day one, meeting new people, feel just like it's too much?
It could
Oh,
be. They don't
wow.
have the
That
beep,
is
beep, the boop,
interesting.
beep, boop, boop coffee machine. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I do like this, like the pre-board anytime. It could be a day before you start. It could be 10 days. It could be 14, 21, whatever. That pre-boarding to onboarding, that like acceptance to day one is almost like this, like it's a dead period that they're floating around with a lot of unknowns, right? So as much as you can fill that space with the
Yeah.
known, which I'm wondering, like, can you imagine, like, Jessica, you accepted date, or you accepted with Marriott, and Tyler immediately has somebody call you and sets up your email for Marriott on your phone that say, like, within 15 minutes of you accepting the job. So now you actually have your Marriott email on your phone, and you have access to like having messaging back and forth or whatever. Because all of a sudden now, like, you're like, oh crap, I got email already. This is sticky. In like, I'm wondering, like, just little things like that, the signs and symbols of how sticky that makes somebody then going,
Yeah.
oh yeah, because now what would happen if you go, oh well, Hilton called me, and I decided I want that job instead.
Yeah.
You already have Marriott email, so now you have to go, oh, like, how do I turn this off? And like, there's a little psychological advantage to like setting those systems and processes up super early before this person actually shows up
Yeah,
to
you're
ensure
like
they show up.
sinking your hooks in them
Yeah.
early and like creating a sense of like connection and affinity. But part of what you're also bringing up for me is like a speed issue too, of like you accept a job and then to hear nothing for 2 weeks and then be wondering what's it gonna be like on day one. Should I bring my lunch? What am I supposed to wear? Like, where do I go? Who's going to like take care of me that first day? Like,
Yeah.
there's no connectivity. And when you start sinking your hooks in earlier and doing these things quickly, like, I think that there's something to
It,
it for
there
sure.
should be a next step on the offer, right? When that hiring manager goes like, "Hey Jay, we loved your interview. We want to make you this offer," and you're like, and they did all the pre-closing. You go, "Yes." There should be something else that said, like, "Hey, within a half hour, within by the end of the day, whatever, you're going to receive X, Y, and Z, or this is going to happen," so that they know. Because I can't tell you how many times we talk to people on the staffing side, and they'll get the offer, and they're like, okay, what they say, and like, okay, I got the offer, and this is great, and I'm going to start at this date, and then I'm like, okay, did you get the offer letter? No. And like, the company will take 4 or 5 days to send them the letter. And you're
No.
thinking, and then the person basically gets something else that, someone actually sends them the real letter, and they take that. And you're just like, how can you mess that kind of
Yeah.
stuff up? Right. It's basics.
And then in that time frame, they still haven't resigned yet from their employer, and
Yeah.
the employer is so focused on retention
Oh,
that
they're
by
trying
the time they get
everything.
the offer letter a week later, they have already taken them
Yeah.
out to lunch, wined and dined them, figured a way to keep them.
Yeah.
That push pull for sure is probably like something that's making it a bit more challenging to say, yeah, I'm out of here,
Yep.
I'm going. One thing that I thought was interesting in this article, and this might be like, you guys tell me what you think, but here's one other thing that I just thought was kind of silly but interesting. They're interviewing someone from a hiring firm. I'll leave him unnamed, but he said, well, we have a generation of professionals who grew up on dating apps where ghosting has been accepted as an annoying but common phenomenon. And so, he says that he believes it's trying to leak into the professional world. But is that are we just looking for a headline when we're saying this? Like, is ghosting in the dating world really translating into like behavior, or is it like, I don't know if that's just like an excuse to like point at like, oh, this is why people are not showing up on day one, as opposed to like the systemic things that like we're talking about as like real practical things that maybe we should try to tackle as employers? Or is it because people are ghosting in the dating world? I mean, I don't know if I buy that.
I
Yeah,
don't
and
think.
they'd be ghosting in every part of their life, like not showing up to pick my kids up from school today. Ghosted.
Well,
It's a great interview. It's a great interview question. Have you ever ghosted anybody in like a dating app?
Ooh.
Because when that, like, it's going to play another side. Because if you're comfortable enough to ghost somebody, like, doesn't that say something about your character?
I don't think I've ever stood someone up like when I was single dating, which feels so long ago. I don't ever
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
ghosting
Pre-dating
someone.
apps. Is that on Match.com?
No, I definitely do the Irish exit though. Like I will say
Oh,
that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think that should be seen as a reflection of my character. But like sometimes I just gotta quietly leave. Like I'm not gonna say bye to everyone, right? Just a little Irish exit. That's okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
I've done it.
We all have, why break up the party? It's better manners to just quietly exit than to make everyone stop their conversation and give you a hug goodbye and like all of that. So Irish exit, I am here for it. Well, these talent woes, they just aren't dying down. It seems like we've gone from great resignation to all sorts of talent attraction issues, and we're just going to keep working our way through like the whole talent life cycle. Today, it's ghosting, people not showing up, and then we're going to probably next episode talk about people quitting in their first 90 days, and we'll just keep working our way through everything. Everything's broken, everything's wrong. But that means we can just keep talking about it on the show. That's job security, I guess, for us, maybe.
Yeah.
Preboarding. I like it.
Preboarding. All right, let's get on it, folks. Preboarding. Figure out who owns it. Make someone accountable. Make probably a few people accountable. And then we'll still be looking at each other saying, well, whose job was it anyway the first one? We'll figure it out, though. All right. Well, that's another episode of HR Famous. I'm really calling it an episode because I actually have some Bridgerton season 2 to catch up on. I'm a little bit late, but I decided to go in for Bridgerton season 2. And I was like, I am enjoying this. I'm all about it. I'm glad Lady Whistledown is back, but I don't know like really what happens. Don't tell me because I'm like maybe on episode 2 or 3 right now of the second season. So I got some TV to watch. But
I have not watched the first one.
Madeline, you got to watch the first one.
I know.
It's so good.
It's I should forget Ozark and go there instead.
Bridgerton's good because I love the classical, how they take pop songs and make it the classical music. So it's like it's all this Victorian classical music, but every single one of those is the pop song, which just makes me laugh.
Yeah, well, it makes you feel classy, but like, still having fun.
Yeah, like a virgin in classical music is always classy.
That's right. It's so classy. Never out of style. All right. Well, for my friends, Tim Sackett, Madeline Laurano, I'm Jessica Lee. That's another episode of HR Famous, and we are out.